Okay, I needed a solid block of corian, approximately, well, this is it here. It's approximately 4 1/8 inches long by 28/16 thick. It's 4 layers of corian, wet sanded and super glued together. And I had a couple of problems to overcome, and I'll tell you about them now. Okay, first you see there's a Home Depot bag glued to the block of corian, and there's a reason for that, because I needed to end up with a piece of corian approximately 2 inches thick and 4 inches long and 2 inches wide. So I could have bought a bunch of supplies and stuff, but I didn't bother. Instead, I bought this loctite super glue gel control stuff, and then I did a test. I glued these 2 strips of corian together. As you can see, they're only about 1/4 inch thick. They're about 1/4 inch thick and 1 3/4 long, and they're 7/16. Where is this thing? They're 7/16 thick, 1/4 inch wide, and about 1.5 inches long. Anyway, the seam where I glued it with the super glue is there, right down the middle. And then I put it in the vise. I clamped this part, the lower part in your screen, below the top of this little metal street sweeper needle. I clamped that in my vise over there. And then I put a crescent wrench, a small crescent wrench on this edge, and pulled on it. And that's what happened. This was all clamped in the vise from about there down. I had cardboard on it on both sides to make sure it was a nice, even bearing in the vise. And I pulled on it up here with my crescent wrench and broke that piece off. So that was pretty good. I was expecting it to split on the seam, which would be right down the middle. So then I figured, well, let me try the other end. And I did the same thing again from the opposite end, and got that other busted off piece. So I figured, hey, this is really groovy. The vise is a regular conventional 3.5 inch wide jaw, and I had it clamped in end to end. Okay, and so that worked out pretty good. But then there's the deal about gluing the block together. This is the corian block, the end result corian block. There it is, glued up. And there's the jig. I had to make a jig for it. I'll give you a little more detail. First I wet sanded the corian, both sides, and then I had to dream up some kind of method to keep this stuff. I know how this kind of stuff is. What happens is when you start gluing it together, the glue acts as a lubricant, and the thing tends to slide all over the place, all over creation, and you can't control where the piece is gonna slide to. So I had to dream something up. So what I dreamed up is I got this old piece of countertop, and I essentially used part of the left side bar there as part of the holder, and then I used these other 2 parts, the other 3 strips to hold it. And I put a piece of I took a Home Depot bag and dropped it into the hole. I made this opening is just very slightly bigger than the blocks of corian are. Okay, and the procedure was, I take the Home Depot bag and flatten it out as best I can and put it in the hole. And then I dropped a clean block down into the hole. And then I put the super glue on the block down the middle. And then I put the other block on top of it. And then I follow that up with this giant piece of steel. And then I clamp it down with those two Bessie clamps. Leave that overnight, you know. Then I go back the next day. So now I got 2 layers thick. And I drop another block down in that hole with a new plastic bag from Home Depot. And then I squirt the corian on that block. And then glue the 2-layer thick block down to the top, okay? I got another bag in there, see? This fits down into there, believe it or not. Yeah, like that. So now I'm 3 layers thick, and I come back 24 hours later, another plastic bag in there, lay the bottom one in the groove, and the block, and flip it over and glue that one in, okay? So now I'm 4 layers thick, and I got this gigantic thick block of corian, which is, you know, whatever it is, 28/16. You do the math. But it's 4 1/8 long by, it's going to be at least, I'm going to be able to make an oval knob. This is for my biesemeyer fence for my Delta unisaw. So yeah, I figured I could make the knob, you know. So that's what I'm going to do. There's the end view of the corian. And I still have, see, the plastic bag was to keep the super glue from going out into my jig. So I didn't want to glue the corian to the wood. I wanted to, but I wanted some kind of thin stuff to act as a mold release. I still haven't yet pulled this crap off yet, which I'm going to do now. And then